I moved in with Jake because he seemed normal. That was my first mistake. We met through a mutual friend. Same age, similar interests, decent first impression. When we toured the apartment, he talked a lot about being easygoing and super chill about shared spaces. I should have known that was code for someone else will handle it. The first month was fine, then the pattern started. Jake never technically broke rules. He just bent them, constantly. He'd leave dishes in the sink, not piled up, just one or two. Always just enough that confronting him felt ridiculous. He'd take my food, not full meals, just a bite here and there. He'd play music late, but not loud enough to justify a complaint. And if I mentioned anything, he'd laugh and say, "Dude, relax, it's not that deep." The phrase, "it's not that deep," became his shield. One night, I came home to find my leftovers gone. Not moved, not partially eaten. Gone. When I asked him about it, he shrugged and said, "Oh yeah, I figured you weren't gonna eat it." I stared at him and said, "I literally labeled it." He smiled. "Yeah, but still, you're chill." Something snapped in my brain. Not anger, exactly. More like clarity. I realized Jake's entire system relied on one thing: other people being more uncomfortable with conflict than he was with being inconsiderate. So I stopped being uncomfortable. But I didn't confront him. I didn't argue. I didn't escalate. I got petty. Quietly. First, I stopped compensating. I used to wash his dishes just so the kitchen wouldn't smell. I stopped. I used to take out the trash when it was full because someone had to. I stopped. I used to replace toilet paper, soap, paper towels. I stopped. I only cleaned what I used. The apartment slowly became his. Plates crusted over in the sink. Trash balanced dangerously instead of being taken out. Bathroom mirror dotted with toothpaste specks. Every time he noticed, he'd say, "Man, this place is getting gross." I'd nod. "Yeah, weird." Then I escalated. Politely. Jake loved using my stuff. Charger, speakers, shampoo, condiments. Again, never asking, just assuming. So I labeled everything. Not aggressively, no warnings, just small, neat labels. OPs. My charger stopped living in the living room. My shampoo moved to a small caddy in my room. My spices vanished from the kitchen. The first time he noticed, he laughed. "Bro, are we labeling now?" I smiled. Just keeping things organized. He stopped laughing when he went to cook and realized everything left behind was his. Expired sauce, plain pasta, salt. Next came the fridge. Jake had a habit of eating my food and then replacing it with cheaper versions. If I bought decent juice, he'd replace it with the store brand. If I bought snacks, he'd replace them with whatever was on sale. So I stopped replacing anything. When he ate my food, I didn't react. I just didn't restock. Within weeks, the fridge looked bleak. Jake finally asked, "Are you like broke or something? You never buy food anymore." I said, "I eat out a lot." Which wasn't a lie. I ate out because cooking in that kitchen felt like a battle I no longer cared to fight. Here's where the revenge really bloomed. Jake loved having people over, friends, dates, random acquaintances. He loved being the host, but hosting requires resources: cups, plates, snacks, toilet paper, clean surfaces. All of which I now controlled by simply not sharing. The first time he had friends over after my quiet withdrawal, I stayed in my room. I listened as he realized in real time that he didn't have enough clean dishes, that the trash was overflowing, that there was no extra toilet paper. I heard him mutter, "What the hell?" More than once. After they left, he knocked on my door. "Hey man," he said, trying to sound casual. "You didn't, clean anything today?" I looked up from my phone. Nope. There was a pause. "Well, don't you think we should both pitch in?" I smiled. "Yeah, we should." And then I went back to my phone. No argument, no accusations, just silence. Over the next few months, Jake changed. Not all at once, but in small, resentful steps. He started washing dishes. He started buying his own supplies. He stopped taking my food. But something else happened too. He stopped talking to me unless necessary. And honestly, that was a bonus. By the time our lease ended, we barely acknowledged each other. On move-out day, he finally broke the silence and said, "You know, you could have just talked to me." I looked at him and said, "I did. You said it wasn't that deep." He didn't respond. Some people don't change when you explain your boundaries. They change when your boundaries quietly stop benefiting them.